let's give it just a second and see if somebody comes in. If not, oh well, right?
I shared it on my page again, so.
I did too.
Reminding people. So I am actually part of your email group.
Oh, I love that.
The spell squad?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
And I just, unfortunately, I'm working or always running around, so I haven't had a chance to join in any of the activities, which sucks. But I'm like, yes, I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna do this.
Well, it's always the door's always welcome. The door's always open for the clubhouse. So anytime you want to come on in, it's there. You know?
Oh, that's awesome. I look forward to that. I have to say, honestly, when I first started learning more about figurine candles as well, I was watching your videos. And you're like, this is what we do with the skull candle. I was like, yes. Getting my herbs together.
I love
and learning
that.
about Jatia root. It was fun. So I enjoyed that.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we have, you know, I love getting into all the different elements that you can get into in candle magic. And one of them is the figural candles, the candles that look like something else. That symbolism of that shape of that candle adds to your spell, adds to your magic. So if you use heart-shaped candle for love, you're adding the extra dimension of support for your spell work. So you know, I just had an interview where someone asked me, like, what's your favorite kind of candle thing that you're working on right now? Or what element is the most, you know, that you're most attracted to? And I said, I love figural candles that look like something, because I'm a very visual person, and I love working with something that adds that element of symbolism to your work. You know, whether it's a horseshoe or a four-leaf clover or a heart or a mermaid or whatever, it's adding that symbolism to your spell work. And I just find that it makes the spells look so beautiful, and it's just the thing I'm most jazzed about. You know, that's very, very fun for me when I'm doing spell work. Yeah.
You know what I really liked, what I learned, I never heard before, the support candles. The way you do the support candles.
Mm-hmm.
I never seen.
The magic.
I guess what do you say? I never realized that you could take and mix all the different colors in and the extra stuff you need with the support candles. Do you know somebody named John and Mary?
Well, my mom's name was Mary. Was Mary. She's not alive anymore. But no, I just use those as like generic names. I picked the most plain names, you know, so that nobody goes, "Hey, were you talking about me?" I mean, I'm sure every John, every Mary is probably thinking that, but no, I just pick very, very generic names when I do sample spells, because I want them to, you know, sort of put in some, you know, just put in that you put your name in here. But yeah, the support candle thing, you know, I don't know if. I mean, I don't think I came up with that idea. I don't think that was something that I invented. But the idea of bringing in a support candle with a master candle, I think that's pretty, you know, kind of, you kind of see it when spells where they're bringing, you know, use a red candle and a green candle, or use a pink candle and a blue candle, or they're asking you to use colors in a spell for a certain reason. But I got very into color magic. That's another aspect of candle spell work, or any kind of spell work actually, is color magic, and the different colors having different meanings, different vibrations, and different support for candle spells. So it kind of makes sense that if you have, I know, as an artist, a person who makes art and does that, I think of color, and I love working with color and paints and things like that. So when you're doing a candle spell or designing something, I kind of don't want to limit it to just the color of the master candle. So like if I'm working with, let's say, a blue skull candle to get someone to think of reconciliation or to heal someone, you know, looking at that blue as using that as a color to support healing and to support reconciliation. But maybe I also want to bring some other elements into that spell work. You know, petition papers will often guide you to that. Someone gives a laundry list of things that they want this spell to do. I want to reconcile, but I also want them to have sweeter feelings toward me. I want there to be more passion, or I want to remove the blocks to our relationship, or I want to protect our relationship. Well, a really easy way to bring that in is to bring in those support candles that have those colors. So you bring in a black candle for protection, so that relationship is protected from any outside forces or outside influences, or you bring in a red candle to bring in more passion. So that way you can really tweak and customize a spell to make it completely custom, completely individualized to that person's petition. I think there's anything wrong with just saying, okay, this skull is going to represent all, if we just worked with one candle, all those things that that person wants. But if you can bring in those other candles, why not bring in those other candles? And since I make candles, it's easy for me. It's not like, it's any big deal for me to get them, grab them and add them to the spell. So I like doing that. I like teaching that and like showing that. And it's very fun. I don't have a lot. It's interesting because I don't have a lot of videos up on YouTube showing support candles. There's some, but not every single spell kit, for example, comes with support candles. People can add their own support candles if they want, but it's not something I teach in every spell, so it's interesting that you tapped into that. Yeah.
Well, I had a long drive all the way by myself, all the way to Portland. And I put it on your videos and just played all of your videos, and it was over. And that's why I asked you about John and Mary, because it was like you brought up John and Mary a lot. Do you know John and Mary?
Yeah. No, I think that was, I actually think, just
together. And
I just use them as my generic people, just so that, you want to write something down, you have to write something down, especially if you're writing a petition and you're showing someone how to write a petition paper, you got to put some name down. So I put down John and Mary just because I feel like that's the most basic old time name. Yeah. Everybody knows what you're talking about when you say that, there's no confusion, and they get the idea that they're supposed to put their name and the other person's name in there. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. You do a lot of stuff. You do the mojo bags, you do candles, you do lamps, you do everything. You play ukulele, you sing, you dance. What do you not do? Let me ask that first.
Well, I'm going to say I do it because I have a lot of support doing that. It's not, even though it's Madame Pamita and it's Chelsea and it's Romy and it's Manfred and it's Izzy and it's all my support. It's Bridget, all the people that are there working at the shop, helping to make things, helping to put the orders together, shipping things out. And then, me writing a book, it is me writing the book, but I can write the book because somebody else is there making the candles on that day, so I do get in there and I make things. I definitely have been in there. Boy, have I been in there. The book just came out. My new book, the Book of Candle Magic, just came out. Mm-hmm. And we got a bunch in, but they came late. So we had a ton of orders to ship out. So I was in there boxing books, and shipping out and putting labels on them, getting them out there as fast as we could to all the people that ordered books. So I do everything from sweeping the floors and taking out the trash, to writing the book, and everything in between, because, we're a team and we work together, and, I get to be the captain of the ship, I guess, and say, well, this is the direction we're going to go. But I wouldn't be able to do it without all the amazing help that I have from amazing, talented. Oh, and Lady Luria, gosh, I can't believe I forgot her. She's amazing. She's doing all the vigil candle work at the shop now. So we have all the support of all these different people that are coming in and working, and that's what helps. So it makes all those things possible that one person really couldn't do. But I do write the book. I do the New Moon Hearth service. I do play ukulele. I do paint. I do all those other things. Yeah.
What's your favorite thing to do?
What's my what?
Your favorite. What are you really passionate about and really love the most?
Gosh, it's hard. You're gonna make me pick my children, which is my favorite child. That's what you're telling me to do.
Don't talk about the kids,
though. Well, there's a lot of things I love, and I think maybe that's why I have so many things that I do, because I do love things, and I love a lot of things. Like I'm doing a candle service, a monthly candle service called the New Moon Hearth service that I do on the new moon. And it's 13 candles that I do for 13 individual people. Each one of those is customized. There's a central candle that's the same. The master candles the same for all 13, but the support candles, the herbs, the oils that I use on those candles is all different for each person's individual petition. And I in terms of doing magic, that is like my favorite magic to do right now, which is why I'm putting my focus on that, because it's powerful. We're working with the new moon. So that when we're in the new moon phase, the moon and the sun are in the same sign. So I align the spell for that month to be in conjunction with that astrological sign. So like we just finished with Libra new moon. So it was Libra sun, Libra new moon. And then the new moon is the beginning of the waxing moon. And so that's the time of increase. So anything we want to bring in, these spells are all for bringing in something good, right? We're not getting rid of something, we're not banishing something. So we just did the Libra new moon, and we did a spirit guide spell to help people either ask for help from their spirit guides or to connect more deeply with their spirit guides, right? Libra is an air sign, sign of communication, sign of harmony, a high vibration, energy. And we're also in that season. Libra season is a very special time of the year where the veil between the worlds is the thinnest, that Libra Scorpio time, right? So this is a perfect time of year to be connecting with your spirit guides. So we have the support of the sun, the moon, the phase of the moon that we're going into, and then we're tapping into that astrological energy along with all of our other things that we're doing, and support the herbs and the oils and the colors and all those other things that we bring into any spell, right? So I think that's my favorite spell work that I'm doing right now, because I get together with 13 people. We do it on Zoom. I light the candle. I put the candles together ahead of time the day before, but then we light them. I talk about each candle. We light each candle, and they watch, they're there with me on Zoom. And then 2 weeks later at the full moon, we do a candle wax reading. So each spell that we've done, we sit down and we go through each one, and I read the wax and talk about, how the wax has flowed and what that means. And so it's like a little mini education in both candle magic and in candle wax reading, but it's also, they get their spell work as well. So it's a really amazing sort of rhythmic thing that I love to do. That I'm very, very passionate about. And in terms of magic, that's what I'm passionate about. Oh, there's Glinda.
Hi, Glinda.
That's my big kitty. My little kitty's at the vet. I'm going to get her right after the show and go pick her up. She got fixed today. So we're not going to have any kittens in the house. I'm going to do that.
No more kittens. You're done with the feline babies.
We took our boy cat in a couple months ago to get neutered, and we picked him up spayed. We didn't know it was a girl.
Oh my God. That's funny.
It was the same cat. But how do you know? I mean, when they're kittens, it's hard to tell.
Yeah, they're fluffy, especially. You would have to poke around in there, I guess.
I'm not doing that.
So thus you had a girl cat. Didn't know. Well, before we go further though, we forgot the introduction.
Oh, welcome to Conjure Crew. Today's guest is, what'd you say your name was? No, not really. Madame Pamita is here with us. She just came out with a brand new book, the Book of Candle Magic. And she's just an amazing lady. She does everything.
I just shipped out your book, Lynna. You ordered a book, and I signed it and I shipped it out to you.
Awesome.
So
I've been waiting.
That's what I was doing yesterday. So we sent them out yesterday. We got them in the day before and got the boxes and packed them up, and I was picking up all those books. So yeah, I was in there in the warehouse working, like a warehouse worker.
I went online. I went on Amazon. I went to Llewellyn. I actually went to the Witchery down in Galveston. Everybody said it was on back order. And Amazon was telling me it was going to take 2 months. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go to Madame Pamita's store and just order it from her.
So we can just order it directly from you then. That's the best way to go about doing it.
Well, it's one of the ways, you could certainly do that with me, but I'm also encouraging people to buy it from their local mom and pop magic shop, metaphysical shop, new age shop, bookstore. Those bookstores are really, and those magical supply stores are really important, because those retail brick and mortar stores are important, because without those, once we get back out of pandemic and we're able to tour and travel around again, those are the places that I can go, and others like me can go and do a book signing or teach a class. So either, order it from me, which is great. I'm not going to say no. That would be great. But if you can order it from your mom and pop bookstore, that would also be great, because it's going to keep them afloat and keep them going. Amazon is fine too. It's going to be cheaper on Amazon than any place else, because if you have Prime, you get it for free shipping, and that's great too. So, any of them, all of the above are fine, but I'm trying to encourage people to buy from their local shop, so that we keep those shops going and keep them afloat in this time that's really tough.
Yeah, I bought your other book from the shop. Let me see.
Madame Pamita's Magical Tarot. Yes, that's I
may have taken it to the other house. See?
Yeah, you moved it.
That's what happens when you're moving. You're like, where did I put it? I think it's at the other house. I'm pretty sure it's at the other house.
Yeah, that one's been out for a couple of years now. That came out in 2018. And then there's this one, and I'm working on a third one, which is a secret until we announce it. It's a secret. But
you can tell
I already have book 4, 5, and 6 in my head too. Like, I have so many things that I'm passionate about, and I love, every book that I do, it's like I do that book because I see that there isn't that book out in the world. So this book on candle magic, the reason I wrote this book is because let's say the vast majority of candle magic books, not all of them, but vast majority of the classics in particular, are recipe books. Take a black candle and a white candle, and on the first day, light the black candle and say these words, and on the next day, light the white candle and say these words, and move that candle here. They tell you how to do it for a certain spell, right? You're going to do this spell to protect yourself, or you're going to do the spell to get love into your life. But they don't explain to the person why you're doing that. It's like you can read a recipe for baking bread, but you're not understanding why you use those ingredients, right? Or how to make a pot roast. You can follow the recipe, and anybody can follow a recipe, and that's great, and get a result. But when you become a chef, you can look into the fridge and go, okay, what do I have in here? I'll take a handful of this, I'll take a pinch of this, and I'll throw it in the pot. I'll do this to this. And that's when you're a good cook, or you're a chef, right? Somebody, I know we all know somebody like that, right? So when this book is to get you to chef level with your candle magic, so that you're not reliant. It doesn't mean you can't look at a spell and copy a spell, but you're not having to rely on it. So with this book, it breaks everything down for you, so that if you want to make a very particular spell for a very particular reason, you can design it from the ground up and make it for your very particular reason. And you don't have to go looking for, where's my spell to bring in good customers, and I'm a tarot reader, and that's what I want to do, is bring in more clientele. You can look at this book and build your own spell. So there are a few recipes in the book just to give examples of things, but it really is telling you, how do I bring timing into a spell? How do I bring astrology into a spell? How do I bring numerology into a spell? How do I bring color magic to a spell? How do I bring herbs and oils and other things into a spell? And what ones would I want to use for which spells? So and then in the back, I have these appendices that are telling you, like, oh, okay, if I want to do a spell to break bad habits, what herbs do I use? So it gives you the condition, and then it tells you what herbs and oils you can create your own oils and create your own herbs and create your own blends to help with that condition. So there's a lot of information even in the back of the book, which is really interesting, because I did that as like support for the rest of the book. But a lot of experienced candle magic people are like, oh my God, the thing in the back is brilliant and genius, and it's amazing, and I love it. So it's a little handy thing that has a little bit of everything in it. And I put in every, I didn't hold anything back in terms of my knowledge. I love sharing knowledge. I love empowering people to do their own spells. I'm not a person that hold onto my, secrets, and I don't want to give those or share those secrets, because I feel like we're all creative. We all have the ability. Nobody's going to be able to make a candle spell like me, just like nobody can paint a painting like me. It's going to be my unique thing. Now, there may be better painters out there. I'm not saying that I'm the best. There might be a better painter out there, might be a better candle magician out there. It's no skin off my nose either way, but nobody can be the best me. And that's all of us in our life, right? Nobody can be the best Lynna. Nobody could be the best Shishi, because you are unique. Right. So this people gives everybody that power to make their own spells and not be reliant on having to look it up in a book, because once you get this knowledge, you can just do it on the fly. You can come up with anything on your own. So that's what was my goal, is to teach people. Didn't hold anything back. I shared everything I knew so that people could make amazing, super complex spells or very, very simple spells. I mean, I start them at kindergarten. I start the very, very basic, one candle and a match. And then we build it from there, So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you're going to be teaching an advanced candle magic class, right? Coming up in a week?
No, I got the foundations of candle magic. I think I call it beginning candle magic or foundations of candle magic. So the first class is going to be on November 1st. And that's going to be, it's about a 2-hour class, giving you all the basic foundations of candle magic so that you can create a spell, and you understand how to bring in color, and you understand how to bring in, days, what timing to use, and so on and so forth. Just kind of basics, so that you can do a single candle spell. The advanced candle magic class, we build on that knowledge. And so the advanced candle magic is going to bring in numerology. It's going to bring in more complex timings. It's going to bring in more layouts and things like that, so that you understand, like what you learn in the foundation, you can then build on it and get to that advanced. You'll understand it. If you're a beginner, I wouldn't recommend taking the advanced candle magic without the basic, because you might get confused, or there'll be too many questions. But if you've done some candle spells yourself, if you already feel like you have a handle on a basic spell, then you're ready for the advanced candle magic. However, I have to say, even me, like, I love taking classes and things that I already know. Like, I'll take a tarot class any day of the week. Why? Because I'm going to learn something I didn't know, Even though I've been doing it for 40 years.
Like, oh, yeah, that works.
Mm-hmm. And there may be a new way of looking at something, if we think about, like, some of it might be, things that you already know, but there might be some new way of looking at it, or new information that you can add or not add, So I feel like even people that have experience could benefit from the beginning class too, either way.
Absolutely. And you teach this class every first Sunday of the month?
So on the first Sunday of the month, I have a workshop that I teach. And so the next 2 are going to be beginning and advanced candle magic. And then I'm going to have some more. I don't even remember what I have, because I haven't posted it yet, but I'm going to have some more. I already have them lined up. I just haven't put them up, and I did it like 6 months ago. So I don't remember what was coming next. But yes, every first Sunday of the month, I have a really, I'd say it's a really juicy workshop, because it's going to be a workshop that's about 2 hours long. They're at 5 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Mountain, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. And they're about 2 hours long on a Sunday evening. And they're recorded. So if you can't make the class, or you come late or have to leave early, you can still, everyone gets the recording, whether you show up or you don't show up, and you can watch that recording and keep that recording forever if you want to reference back to it or look back at it. But it's a real meaty class. And the feedback that I've gotten from people from the workshops is they feel like they really got a lot out of it. That's what everyone, sort of has been saying. Nobody walks away feeling like, man, there was nothing in it, or I didn't learn anything. Everybody feels like they did gain a lot from it. So I love doing that. That's another passion I have, is teaching. We didn't even get to that, I love teaching people. That's why I love writing, because it's another way of teaching. And I love teaching people how to do magic. It really is my passion. I've had, YouTube videos up since practically YouTube started, I think I started in 2012 or 2013. Maybe earlier.
3 days worth.
Yeah. I've been doing videos, on there. I mean, I've slowed down a little bit because I'm doing all these other things, but I love teaching people how to do things. And the reason I did those is because there wasn't anything up there. I'm like, okay, how can I see someone, how can I see someone doing this magical practice? And I would look for it and there wasn't any video. So I'm like, okay, I'll make the video then. That's how it all started. So now everybody's got a video up. Everybody's on YouTube. So there's lots of choices. I'm one of the choices, but yeah.
So how did you get started? Like, not just on YouTube with you. How did you get started in magic?
Well, I grew up in a magical household, although we wouldn't have called it a magical household. I grew up raised Catholic. My mom is Ukrainian. Her mother, who died before I was born, was a spiritual healer. I mean, I think we would call it in the parlance a spiritual healer. She did healing work that was particularly Ukrainian. So they have a healing system. They have a couple of things that I know the stories of. That one of the things that she used to do was you would take a bowl of water and you would do this ritual and you pour beeswax into the water to heal someone, and you do a series of that. There's a whole ritual that is about that. But the correspondence, like for people that don't know about this, the closest correspondence I can come to for people that are familiar with that is it's kind of like an egg cleanse. It's a cleanse. So it's meant to cleanse you of your fear. The fear is the source of the illness, whatever illness you have, and it's meant to cleanse you of that fear. So it's kind of corresponds to an egg cleanse, but it's not done with an egg. It's done with beeswax and water. So my grandmother used to do that, but she died in the 1940s. She died way before I was born. She also did another thing, which I discovered. A lot of the stuff my mom would say. She did this thing, but she didn't know what her mom was doing. Because she was only 20 years old when her mom died. So for her, she would say like, oh yeah, she would hold this bowl of water and she would pour wax in it. And I'm like, that's weird. And she's like, well, she would kind of like read your fortune, but it was also meant to like make you you did it when you were sick. So there wasn't a description. But then in doing research about Ukrainian magic, I found out, oh my God, there's a whole thing about doing wax healings. And I found out all the information about what she was doing after the fact. Same thing with my mom telling me a story that when she was a little girl, she got very ill and my grandmother gave her a doll. And my mom said, yeah, she gave me this doll to make me get better. And as a young woman, I thought, well, she just gave her a doll like as a toy. But then I found out there's this whole idea of like it's called Motunka, which is like a puppet. It's a Ukrainian puppet. It's your ancestor. So this doll represents your ancestors. And if you work with this doll to get the help and support of your ancestors for healing, protection, or whatever. So my grandmother gave my mother a Motunka to keep in a bed with her so that she wouldn't die, because my mom was very ill. So these are these magical things that are like this thread coming through, and this lost information that I'm slowly teasing out and discovering, as I hear these stories and then I find out this information, which so gloriously has come to us through the internet being able to connect people. We find out all this information and now we're able to put the pieces together. So even though that was like this history that was like behind me, I didn't experience it firsthand, but my mom, who had experienced it at firsthand, was still very magical. She bought me my first tarot deck when I was 10 years old. I chose it. I'm like, I want, we were in a gift shop in Salem, Massachusetts, and she's like, pick a souvenir. And I'm like, I want that. And it was a tarot deck. And then, we do things like we do Ouija boards, and she didn't care if I did that. So we grew up in this Catholic household where we were lighting candles. I say that's my first candle magic. You go and make a wish at church and light a candle. That's a spell, right? And then, the things that were spiritual and mystical weren't frowned on or feared in our house, which gave me and my mom and I would practice reading each other's minds. I mean, we do all these like fun things that were very spiritual and mystical, but under the guise of like Catholics, we never ever said, it was never said we're witches or, anything else other than you're Catholic, but you can do these things, because her mom was Catholic and did these things. So it wasn't ever forbidden fruit for me. And it was something that I grew up in, and I didn't know the depth of it. I started to discover the depth of it, but that's where it all started for me.
So you got fortunate. You were able to be nurtured. It wasn't awkward. And a lot of people, when they step into this path, it is awkward for them because their parents are, family members like, we don't know what you're doing. This sounds sketchy. But then once again, we're looking at the whole Hollywood concept of magic, right? And not the healing part and all the other beautiful parts of it, the candle magic, all of the awesomeness that we know exist. So it's interesting.
Yeah,
I'm happy that you had that environment.
Yeah, I think, I was born in 1964, and so this would have been in the 70s. And, the 70s were kind of a free time anyway. And I really, and seeing that, I see that, like, really it was the 80s, late 70s, early 80s, when we had a rise in fundamentalism in this country, that we start to see a lot of real harsh, like, that's evil, that's witchcraft, that's satanic. We didn't really, I have to say, like, in the 70s, we never really thought about, like, Satanism, or, I mean, maybe it was like post-Exorcist, the movie The Exorcist, which came out in 74. But people didn't think of the devil as being this threat. At least I'll say from my experience, we weren't, like, worried about the devil until The Exorcist came out. That I was way too young to see it. I never saw it because I didn't want to see it. I don't like scary movies. But I think that's when that started to be this, like, feeling like there was this battle between Jesus and Satan, or that there was this satanic influence, or people became very obsessed with it and started to see everything as being satanic. And, it's like, if you start thinking about it, you're going to see it everywhere. You know what I mean? If someone starts thinking like, oh my God, Satanism, they're going to start seeing it everywhere they look and everything, So, yeah. So I think that's, kind of what I was just right before that, like, and then my parents were older parents to begin with, so they weren't, like, tapped into popular culture, and they weren't fundamentalists. They were Catholic, but they weren't fundamentalists. So they didn't really get into that obsession that everything is satanic and evil and bad. So yeah, I was lucky that way. Yeah, but I feel for a lot of people that had to struggle, or really got condemned by their family for being their authentic self in any way, or condemned by society. That is very, very real, and it's become more prevalent, Yeah.
Well, there's already a lot of magic in the Catholic Church. I'm Catholic too. My kids go to Catholic school, and, and Taylor reads Lenormand, So,
yeah.
I mean, how do you explain turning the bread and wine into the body and the blood? What about the incense, the praying, all this stuff? That's all magic in the Catholic Church right there. Like you said, lighting the candle, making your wish.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think all of that stuff at the intercession of the saints, asking the saints to assist you or help you connect your prayers up to God, or however you're working in that way. I mean, I see prayer as magic. So, but that's just my lens that I'm looking through. If someone else says, no, prayer is prayer and magic is magic, I'm not going to correct them. But from my viewpoint, all spirituality, including fundamentalist spirituality, is magical work. You're doing a prayer. Now, you may say, I'm having God do it for me, right? All right. So, okay, that's maybe your view of it. But the prayer is the intention that you're putting out there, right?
Right.
It's the seed of all magic, is your intention. So whether you say, okay, God's going to do it for me, or I'm going to put yeah, I think of that being magic, and I look at that as magic, because magic is to shift something in a direction according to your will, right? So as long as you're saying, God help me, or whatever, you're doing magic, because that's your will to get help. Right.
Well, and one of the very first things they teach you as a little small kid, when you lose something, did you pray to St. Anthony? Did you look for it? So they're telling you to pray to the saints and then go look for it. So you have to do your part too, Yeah.
He's not going to drop it in front of you. But, sometimes I swear to you, I've got spirits in my house can sometimes get very active, and they hide stuff from me all the time. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Then it turns up 5 days later in some completely obvious place that I looked at 10 times, you know? So I'm like, okay, I
that
got my
might be the
attention.
fairies too, doing that. They like to do that stuff too.
Yeah.
So, I know you like to travel. Do you have any plans for whenever this ends?
Oh, when it ends, yeah. Well, I have fantasies. I haven't made any real plans. This year I was supposed to go to Reader Studio. I was supposed to go to Paganicon. I had a lot of things that were lined up for this year, and I didn't get to do them, which is, you know, I'm old enough. I feel sorry for the young people who want, you know, everything is like, the world is like, oh, I can't go out. The world is my oyster. I can't do it. You know, I've been there and done that. So having a year or a year and a half or 2 years where I'm just staying at home, it's not my dream. It's not but I can tolerate it. You know, I work on other stuff and focus on other things during that time, you know, and I got plenty at home to keep me busy and out of mischief. So, but I feel sorry for the young people who really, you know, want to go out and see their friends and go out and see the world and do things, and it's hard. But for me, you know, I really want to do more teaching out in, you know, different places, do more, you know, of these events where I can teach classes and mix and mingle and see people in real life. I mean, I'm looking forward to that. And I also have some, you know, I love going over to Europe, and I love going, I wanted to, and I was thinking about this fall, but obviously it's not happening, of going to Ukraine and seeing some of my family's, the area that my mom's side of the family, my dad's side of the family is like American, going like back centuries, and then before that, British and Scottish, you know. So I just, you know, I just would love to go and see and be a tourist and look at these beautiful places and learn more about like the magical practices. But you know, it'll happen again. We'll get to that place one way or another. We're going to get there where we can do that traveling again, you know. So yeah.
Be nice. I actually feel like a lot of older people are struggling with staying home more so than younger people, because younger people say, okay, we're going to stay, we'll play videos, games, we can call our friends via whatever. But I feel like people in their 30s, 40s, 50s, they're losing their minds because they're like, we want to do this and we want to do that. So I feel like they're having a harder time staying at home rather than the younger kids. I feel like the younger kids are like, it'll get better when it gets better. They're not so stressed about it. Whereas then everybody else is like, we're running out of time. We have to go do it now.
So, yeah, that's true. That's true, huh? I think everybody just faces it a different way. Like my kids are total gamers, and they're like fine. They're like, we talk to our friends on Discord every night. We're playing video games with them. They're pretty, you know, going with the flow of it. So
yeah,
you know.
That's Walker. Walker don't even care. I don't care either, though. To be honest, I work at home. I'm always at home. I don't go anywhere. So it's like, what changed? Oh, you know.
I go everywhere. Well, because I don't get to work from home, but I'm not going crazy like a lot of people are. But I'm like, I can go have a piece of pie today. Why not? I'm good with going to have a piece of pie. But no, there are some people losing it. But, you know, moving forward as well, kind of going off of, you know, you wanting to visit the Ukraine. So you keep in touch with your family there then?
I have no family there that I know of. I mean, it'd be distant relatives. So what happened? I mean, can I give you a little mini history lesson of what happened? So, and it's interesting because as we look at Ukrainian spirituality, you see there's a diaspora in Ukrainian culture, as you know, as well as many cultures, including African diaspora. You know, not the slavery that, of course, of the African diaspora, but definitely a diaspora, just the same. So if we look at Ukrainian history, that's part of the country, which is the western part, like on the western side of where Russia is. It would be on west of Russia, like northwest is Ukraine, near Poland. That is called the breadbasket of Europe. It's a really fertile land that was a lot of farming. So a lot of the folk magic practices are agricultural folk magic practices that happen there. You know, goddesses and gods that are of fertility and keeping the crops and bringing the good weather, keeping out the bad weather. And that's sort of the magic that we see. So up until about year 900 was a strong pagan influence that was happening there. Then in 900, the Eastern Orthodox Christian Church came in and said, we're going to make you Christians. So, it's a very interesting thing that they would do. Like they would worship these waters and like the goddesses of the water. And then all of a sudden, icon pops out of this water of Mary. Oh, you're actually worshiping Mary, because there's Mary's picture. So you think you're worshiping your water goddess, but no, you're really worshiping Mary. So these icons would mysteriously appear in these sacred sites to get people to like make a shift over. But there's something called Dobrovi, I think I'm saying it wrong, where they're having the dual religion is what it is, as a dual religion, a dual faith. So they're believing the Christianity to keep the kind of the powers that be happy, but they're also having their own old religion at the same time. They could believe both at the same time. So that was happening from the year 900, slowly that was happening. And then what happened, of course, is that the Soviet Union took over, all these wars happened and this and that. And then the Soviet Union took over from the Catholic Church. So then they wiped out all faith. You couldn't have any religion. You only, were supposed to be rational, scientific, and no religion was allowed. So if you think of these things as like there's a folk faith or folk religion, but each layer is like another layer of burial where there's something covering it up. Okay, so now we have Soviet Union saying you can't have any religion. Then in the 1930s, Stalin did what's called the Holodomor, which is a forced genocide. They killed 3 million Ukrainians by forced starvation. They took away their food and they forced them to starve. So 3 million people died. It's the second most horrible genocide. Most numerous people died, next to, of course, Hitler. Hitler was first, and then this was second in the terms of the number of people that were killed. So we've got now another layer of now all of that folk magic, folk history, and folklore is lost. So it's really, really, really buried. Now we only are just coming out in the 90s with a free country, that all of that stuff that was there has been buried and suppressed. What's interesting is that the people who emigrated before the Soviet Union, my grandparents, for example, emigrated in 1915. They came to Canada and they came to the States. They carried the traditions with them, and they weren't suppressed because they were in free countries where they could, yes, they wanted to assimilate or whatever, but they still could have their practices and not be fearful that they were going to be taken out and shot or killed or something, or sent off to Siberia. Mm-hmm. So I liken that to like, how you find an insect in amber and it's frozen in amber, and mm-hmm. you have an insect from 1 million years ago that you can see it in that amber, and you're like, wow, look at that. That's a dragonfly from 1 billion years ago, whatever. So the same thing here. We have these practices. The reason that we even know about any of these practices is not because we go to Ukraine and we see them, unless you go into the real, like, distant, like, really isolated places. It's not there. You find it in Canada, and you find it in the United States, in Ukrainian Canadians and Ukrainian Americans who brought it over before that Soviet suppression came in. So that's where you can find this information, it's so fascinating. So it's in the diaspora that we see actually preservation of the old ways that were wiped out for the 80 years that Soviet rule was happening, and all of that, the terror that was happening there. So we have to kind of reconstruct it from this dragonfly that was kept in amber. So yeah, it's very interesting. Yeah. A lot of people left there was a lot of war in that area, and a lot of people left in the late 1800s to the early 1900s, right before the Soviet Union. 1915 is when the Soviet Union really started taking over. So, yeah.
Have you ever been to Scotland? You said you were part Scottish too. And the feeling you get, I've never been. I need to go because I'm right there with you. But do you get that kind of spiritual feeling, like you can feel all this magic around you? How do you think it's going to be in the Ukraine with that?
I don't know. It remains to be seen. When I was a kid, my sister lived in England for a couple of years. And so we went to visit her when I was 10, around the time that I was 10. And the first time I went there, I just felt such a kinship. But we didn't know like my dad's, we didn't have DNA testing and all that stuff where we could look and see where somebody came from. So we knew that my dad, we didn't know if he was Irish. We didn't know if he was English or what. His last name was Moore. So that's like, it could be an Irish name. It can be an English name. It can be a Scottish name even. But we didn't know too much about it because they had been in the States for so long. There wasn't much to, we didn't know all the history and going back. So when I went to England, I felt like, oh my gosh, this place is super magical. And I felt a real attraction for it. So I went again when I was a teenager, 18, 19 years old. And again, when I was 20, and again, any chance I could save up a little money and travel, I was going over there. Went to Scotland when I was younger, but then I went to Scotland 4 years ago. I went just particularly to seek out spiritual places, spiritual sites, and magical sites. And I had an amazing, amazing time when I was there. Went to a lot of standing stone circles. I had amazing encounters with spirits and all kinds of things that happened while I was there. And land. And I don't know if it's I don't know if it's a DNA thing of why you connect to it, or if it's just magical land or what. I can't tell you why that land is so powerful and so magnetic to me, but it is.
I think it's so. Ancestors. Did you go see what's that place called Craigna-Dun? In Scotland? It's on the Outlander. You have to watch that.
I have to watch Outlander. I know everybody tells me I have to watch that show. I have to watch that show. You're calling me out on my TV habits. I barely ever watch TV. That's what? What I don't do is watch TV. You ask me what I don't do.
I don't watch TV either, but it's on Netflix, and you can buy the books, and you can put them on your iPad. I know you have an iPad, and read the books. But there's this circle of stones. It's called Craigna-Dun, and they're really magical. And it's kind of like a mini Stonehenge in Scotland. Where's it at? Right outside of oh God, I can't remember the name of the city. Is it Inverness?
Glasgow?
No, it's not Glasgow.
Inverness?
I think it's Inverness.
Want me to look it up?
Actually, it's so interesting. The standing stone circles, like Stonehenge. I mean, Stonehenge is completely impressive. I mean, it's amazing. But in England and actually in France, and there's a little bit on the continent as well, they have thousands, not dozens, not tens, thousands of stone circles. Now, some are small, some are really wide. Stonehenge is like the most massive. But stone circles are everywhere. And I went to visit these stone circles. The Callanish stones are the ones I went to, which maybe, is that what you're thinking of, not Callanish stones? Those are the Stonehenge of Scotland. Yeah. There's so many of these stone circles. And you know what, how crazy it is? Okay. Imagine if there was a magical stone circle in your town, right? They would put a barrier around it. They would charge you admission to go in. You know what these stone circles are in Scotland? Some guy's field. It's just like, it's on that field over there. And you go over there and there's a stone circle there that's been there for thousands and thousands of years. And you're like, oh my God, that's amazing. And nobody really cares because there's thousands of them. They don't care. It's like a mini mart. Really? It's a 7-Eleven. Come on. We have them everywhere.
I know. I think, that's the thing is like when you go to different places, like I imagine Ireland for many people must be very magical as well. Definitely Scotland. And yes, you probably do have to watch that show. I have not watched that show, so I'm not going to be like, you have to watch it or, pressure you or anything because my girlfriend loves it. She's like,
you have to watch it.
And then all these
and read the books are better, but watch the show first.
Isn't it usually the other way?
No, you watch the show first because if you read the book first, you're going to be disappointed in the show because a show can never tell you what somebody's thinking, but a book can. And if you watch a show first, now you have a picture of what the people in the book look like.
There you go.
So watch the show first. Only first 3 seasons on Netflix. So, watch those and then read the books. There's like 8 books, and then there's some little mini books that go in between. It's really cool. I'll send you the link to the whole breakdown. But I know you have to go pick up Ozma. So is there anything you want to say before you have to fly away?
Yes, my little kitty's getting fixed today. I have to pick her up. Let's see what I've got coming out. I mean, I actually have been, in this time of the pandemic when it's very funny because I was I've been teaching Zoom classes for a while, although I kind of wasn't for a while because I was doing the live classes. But I was always trying to encourage people to come on Zoom classes. And they're like, no, I want a live class. Oh, I can't do it on Zoom. I don't know how to do that technology. Now everyone has had to get caught up to speed. So it's been great, actually, for giving these classes. And anybody in the world can take a class with you, which is amazing. I've also been taking classes. I've been taking classes in shamanism and all kinds of cool, events and things like that I normally wouldn't be able to get to because they're somewhere else in some other country. So it's been really amazing. I think it's an amazing time. And there's, as much as we wouldn't want a pandemic or we don't want people to get sick or feel fearful or any of those things, I think that there's some little nuggets of great things that have come out of this, which is that everybody has, latched onto this thing that we can connect up. I mean, here you are in Texas and I'm here. I don't know, Shishi, are you in Texas too?
I'm in Virginia.
Oh, you're in Virginia. Look at us. We're here. We are having a conversation and having, fun together and hanging out together. This is like the Jetsons, man,
Right?
Very cool. So, anyway, so I have the classes that are coming up. I have those classes on the first Sunday of the month. The workshops that are coming up. I've got the beginning and the beginning candle magic on November 1st and the advanced candle magic on December 6th. The book, of course, is out everywhere. It's going to be, if you order it on Amazon, it's not going to take 2 months because I've already heard from people that have had orders on Amazon that they said it's delivered in 2 days. So they're getting them. Everybody's got them. It was a holdup at the printer. What's the problem? Because of COVID, you have to remember that there's supply chains, and like if somebody way down the supply chain, the ink, provider or the paper provider has a problem there, it affects everybody down the line, including us who want to buy the book. So something happened at the printers that made a slowdown of about 10 days, and that just like dominoed effect, everybody's like, where's my books? So, but the books are here, they're coming out. I've already gone through my whole big order that I had. I just made another order for some more books so I can get them out. So you can get them from me. Of course, you can get them. I'm really encouraging people to shop at their local bookshop, mom and pop shop. I think Amazon has enough money. I don't think Jeff Bezos needs another dollar, but if that's convenient and cheaper, it is cheaper, you know what I mean? Especially if you have no shipping, that can be a lot cheaper. So, I say it's all good wherever they buy it, whether they buy it from me, whether they buy it from the mom and pop, which, supports them, or whether they buy it from Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Llewellyn, wherever, it's all good. So that is, that's that. And then let's see if I have anything else exciting coming up. I'm going to be doing something new in the new year. I mean, this is I'm going to give you a little exclusive new piece of information, which is that coming up in the new year, I'm doing the new moon candle services, of course, continue that, but I'm also going to be offering spell kits for the new moon so that you can do a spell at home, a candle spell at home. If you don't want to, be part of the new moon heart service, it's out of your price range, you can still do the spell at home. And I'm also offering a class and spell kit so that if you want to do a special spell for that new moon, you can do it at home with your candles at home with a live Zoom class with you where I'm going you through each thing. So it's an education in candle magic. You're going to do a beautiful spell for your new moon intention. And each month it's going to be a different one. So you can participate in that. So that's going to be coming up in 2021. And I'm excited about that. So that's something cool and fun. Yeah.
And how do people get in contact with you?
Oh, my website is parlourofwonders.com. It's spelled Parlour of wonders.com. And that's where you can find me on, that's my website. All the socials, you can find me by looking at Madame Pamita. If you type in Madame Pamita under YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, any of the things, Twitter, which I barely ever go on, you'll find me there. And that's where they find me on the socials. Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, it was awesome talking to you again. I miss you.
I know. I miss you too. It was so fun to sign your book and think of you as I was doing that, you know, and send that off to you with a lot of love and appreciation. It's great to spend time with you and spend time talking about magic. Thank you so much for having me on.
All right. And you're welcome to come back anytime. Just say, hey, Lynna, it's time.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's great to meet you, Shishi. I look forward to seeing you guys online, you know, in your videos and all of this. So thank you again for having me on.
Thank you. It was nice to meet you. I was very excited. So
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.
Oops, she's gone. Okay. I love her so much.
She's really cute.